Headway Wealth is a wealth management company that helps you reach your financial potential. I'm with the directors, Elliot Parkhouse and Hamza Schulchi, who are going to talk to me a bit more about the company, who they serve and how they operate. Let's start with you, Hamza.
We're a financial planning company, a wealth management company. We look after individuals when it comes to servicing their money, basically helping people get the most out of their money in all aspects of financial planning. So it could be simple little things like making sure that they are insured, making sure that they're reaching goals like sending their children to a nice university that they always dreamt of, making sure that they can afford to buy the house that they want to, retire when they want to, getting them to financial independence, tax planning. The list goes on. So it's basically reaching any financial goal of an individual. That's probably the best way to describe it, you think?
Yeah.
Is it helping them see where those opportunities are as well? Because often, I mean, for me as a layperson thinking about wealth management, I just think about savings, whereas this is seeing, I imagine, all the opportunities for financial goals. Is that right, Elliot?
Exactly. It's about sitting down with individuals and finding out what they want to do in life, what they want to achieve. Like Hamza said, sending children to university, buying a house, buying a car, all these things really need to be planned. And we help people map out those plans and then, work with them ongoing, making sure they achieve them, whether that involves ongoing advice, whether it involves using products, investments. We help people plan, basically.
And how did Headway Wealth come about? What was happening that you guys thought, right, we need to set this company up?
It was a beautiful Middle Eastern romance. No, Elliot and I used to work together in the Middle East. We worked for an international company. We covered a lot of different areas in the Middle East, and it was very much, the same kind of logic behind what we did, trying to help people reach their financial goals. We just thought that we could do it better, That's the top and bottom of it. We thought that there was more transparent ways of giving advice. We thought there were more personal ways of giving advice. We spent a lot of time together, got to know Elliot very, very well through the time in the Middle East. And I think we just both realized that his strengths and my strengths and his weaknesses, my weaknesses gel together for us to be able to take a direction which could build something quite special. Mm-hmm. So we decided to leave the old company, set up the new company, and form exactly what we wanted to achieve,
And so what sort of roles do you both have then as directors? How do you complement each other? Not compliment like that. I'm sure you compliment each other every single day. But how do you complement each other?
I'm probably a little bit more aggressive and fiery, whereas Elliot's probably that little bit calmer. I've always been able to network in a very natural way, which I think I can get into a lot of different circles. Elliot educates himself constantly every single day. You could come up with the most random subject in the world and I'll ask Elliot about it and he'll literally say, I was reading about that yesterday. So there's a lot of things that just kind of bring it all together. There's a lot of similarities, but then there's a lot of different strengths and weaknesses in our personalities that we can take, a lot of good cop, bad cop. I would probably say he's a lot more sensitive than I am to other people's downfalls and so.
And I imagine that helps your clients as well, that they've got the two sides of the coin really, and you can understand what they need. You can understand what they need and kind of tailor your approaches to different sorts of clients, I imagine.
Yeah, I think we both have similar kind of approaches to the way that we look after clients. It's all about the client. It's all about giving the right advice. It's all about, making sure that we're doing everything we possibly can for them. And I think that's where the kind of day-to-day giving advice side, we're very, very similar. We have great relationships with our clients.
Solutions, isn't it? It's always, I think we look after our clients the way we look after our business. You come across problems and you provide solutions.
Exactly.
We talk about providing solutions. Everything we do is providing solutions. You know? Can't find anywhere to get a coffee, we'll provide a solution. I can't find anywhere to put my money, we'll provide a solution. We've got a problem in the business.
What sort of problems do people come to you with then in terms of, I mean, I know you talked about lots of life goals and things, but sort of specific things like that. Don't know where to put my money. Is that, what does that look like?
Well, yeah, I mean, everyone has what some might think are unachievable goals, which could be a challenge or to find a solution. But, you know, day to day, we deal with people in the UK, we deal with people internationally. We're constantly coming across, you know, challenging situations, someone who's got a very particular, you know, circumstance and needs some advice. That's where that kind of solution-based mindset of like, look, you know, let's go and help this individual, find out what the problem is and go out and find a solution. I think that's like the foundation of how we operate. And I think that serves clients well.
So let's talk about Headway Wealth, the name Headway Wealth. What does that mean? Tell me why you chose that name.
I mean, in a nutshell, I think that you can probably make it out for yourself. It just makes making progress. You know what I mean? It's what we I think people don't do enough of in their finances is make progress. You know, if you were looking at getting in shape, you would have a starting weight, you'd have an end weight, but you'd have, you know, every single day, week, month, whatever, you would weigh yourself again. I think with Headway Wealth, we want to get people to make progress in their finances. We set a start date, we set an end date, and then we have to make progress to get there. I think that's where the name really, Headway, just, you know, we sat with our marketing team and went over loads of different ideas for names and stuff like that. And when that hit, we were just like, boom,
Yeah, we wanted a name that actually represented where we were going and what we were doing. You know, that no matter who our client was, they would be able to, you know, resonate with the name.
So people think there's insurmountable goals when it comes to finances. I think people don't realise the incremental nature of wealth management. How do you help your clients see that there are steps to take? And
I mean, it comes from the name. You know, Headway Wealth, as Hamza said, means to progress, to advance. We want people to be, you know, feel like they can approach us, approach our firm. You know, everything that we stand for is sitting down with an individual, doesn't matter who they are, doesn't matter if they're a young professional, you know, a retiree, a wealthy individual. We follow the same process of sitting down with them, you know, finding out what it is that they want to try and achieve in, you know, short term, long term, medium term, and ultimately put a plan together and work with them.
And generationally, are you seeing a difference from your years of experience in financial services, in wealth management? Are you seeing a change with sort of younger professionals? Are people? Do you have any concerns there? Are there things that people aren't really doing that they should be? Are people more scared of wealth management?
I think where the issue you have with money is people are afraid of it until they start talking about it. People don't know what they can achieve with what they have until they actually educate themselves by speaking to a professional. It's one of those things that people would never come to you and say, or it's a weakness. I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to who think they're in a bad financial position with the slightest adjustment can achieve the most ridiculous things by putting the money in the right place or setting a structure. Or talking about money is something that people are ashamed of because it's almost a weakness. I don't know what to do with my money. And especially for men, you know, if you're the man of the house and, you know, you need help with your finances, it's almost a weakness for you to go and get it done. But if you need your bathroom changed and you'll ring a plumber, well, why not ring a financial advisor and say, I need some help? You wouldn't try and take your own teeth out, would you? You'd go and see a dentist. So the hardest thing is for us to get people to engage with you. And that might be an everyday person or, you know, some of the professionals that we work in at the top end of the financial services industry. They're exactly the same. They're busy doing their own job. They need help for their own finances. And I think that's probably the hardest thing of what we do is getting people to admit that there's a problem.
What do smart choices look like when it comes to finances? What things should people be doing? I know it taps into what we were talking about people being afraid of finances. I think possibly maybe it's a millennial generational thing. We're not attuned to savings as much as older generations. That whole attitude towards money, I think, has possibly shifted. People are waiting for, we're a very consumerist culture. People are waiting for a huge paycheck rather than those small changes. What do smart choices look like?
I think it starts with the basics of just budgeting, and individuals. And again, I think we have certainly this last kind of 12 months with everything that's going on and people not spending as much, not traveling. There is definitely a shift, and we see it in our network of individuals that we would typically not consider our typical client, wanting to gain financial advice, wanting to save, want to invest because they've got spare cash. But I think to answer your question, the basics of people just managing their money properly, budgeting, working out what they're spending, working out what they actually have to save. That's what then will normally prompt people to say, hey, I've got more money than I thought I did. I need to do something with it. And that's where there is this stigma around, financial advice, financial advisory firms. You'll typically see them on a high street in a fancy building, green leather sofas and panelled walls. And that's not something where most people would go and have a conversation about, hey, I want to save and invest £1,000. So I think that's the kind of, we're trying to change the way that we communicate with the general public and people out there.
Educate them.
Yeah, not like, hey, we know this, you don't. It's just like, it starts with the basics, budgeting, investing. You can invest in, and we're spoilt now that there's technology. There's, so many different products and apps and services that people can just easily do stuff, make simple investments without needing to be financially qualified. I think it's just people needing to understand that.
And how do you make it more accessible to people and educate them yourselves? How do you make people see that this is a very realistic possibility?
Podcasts with Hajar. It's all educating. It's educating people on. You find out where they are, and you ask them a very few questions. Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Generally, it'll be no, and straight away you've added some value. It takes us very, very little time to make a change. Quite often, we might even look at someone's circumstances, and there are no changes to be made. But the most important thing is educating, talking to them, having a conversation like we are now, and just finding out a little bit more.
And what makes you different to other similar companies? What do you provide that they're not?
We provide a personal service. We have all of our advisors are, individuals. They're characters. They're people. And it's down to them to ultimately build relationships with people. And they're not trying to sell products or services. It's like, hey, we're here to help you. What is it that you're looking to try and achieve? And let's build a plan and work together. And I think, and again, not to talk about what others do, but there's definitely that gap in the market of everyone else is kind of led by shareholders or led by a product, or that's genuinely not how we operate.
Listening is important. So we used to work internationally again, as I said before, and I found a lot of the training that I had to do was teaching people to speak less and listen more. And if we sit and listen and take notes on what people want, it's very, very easy for us to find a solution. And people literally tell you their problems, like a shrink.
Financial shrink.
It is. If people talk to you and you ask them question after question after question, but let them unload everything, you'll find the problem and you'll be able to create a solution for them. And that's the difference, is listening, not going in with a briefcase full of solutions. Well, you don't know if the solution's going to be in your bag. You go in and find out the problems.
Yeah. No, it's there. So I guess that moves us on to the savings and investments area. Investments are really alien to a lot of people. And how do you make that feel safe for people? And what's the difference between a savings and investment plan? How do you decide what's right for each client?
I mean, as Hamza said before, you've ultimately got to listen to the client, and really understand what does money mean to them. What does savings, what does investing, like you said, some people think of investing as putting money in a bank account. Everyone has completely different relationship with saving and investing. So the first step is to understand that, listen, You know, find out what people are comfortable with, find out what they understand. And that's where you've really got to tailor your advice around the individual, because if someone has zero investment experience and, you know, keeps their money under a mattress, you've clearly got to be very specific about making any form of recommendation. And like you say, it's probably more educational about this is what you can and can't do.
Undoubtedly educational, yeah. It's such a scary word, isn't it? Investing.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you feel more comfortable talking to a client about saving, using the word saving, as opposed to, as soon as you bring out the word investing, it's like, so I could lose my money.
Yeah.
You know, and it scares people off, doesn't it? So I suppose just educating them from start to finish.
Why aren't people investing?
People, like I said, are afraid of the word investing. 62% of Brits in the UK do not invest their money. They feel more comfortable with their money sitting in a bank account than they do having their money making money. And it's all down to education. It's all down to explaining something thoroughly and making them understand what they can achieve with their money. And that's the problem, is they're scared, they're not educated on it, and they don't ask the questions.
And it's empowering them too, I suppose. Once they have that information, then they can actually make decisions rather than just, oh, I'll just put it in the bank, or it feels like gambling or a risk, or, you know, and it's
yeah, you've got to look at it psychologically. You know, if you don't know something, you typically, as individuals, humans, we fear it, and that doesn't matter whether it's anything. You know, going for a job interview, something you've done before, you're nervous, and then once you've done it, right, fine. It's exactly the same with making investments, and that's why, you know, it's.
However, give somebody a Bitcoin opportunity and they think they can double their money. They'll throw it all in.
Yeah.
Well, I think people at the moment as well, there's a big entrepreneurial kind of push. I've noticed a shift in the last 5 years, especially through social media. More and more people are thinking quite business minded. And I don't know whether that's because dreams and aspirations aren't what they used to be. We know education's been kind of demystified over the last 10 years. People are trying to make these bucks in a more sort of natural and organic way. The buy-sell kind of mentality is creeping back in there.
Yeah, technology enables people to, you know, operate and buy and sell products and services from their sofa, you know, so I think that's natural.
I think on the other hand, though, if you look at it the other way as well, I think there's more people trying to make a quick buck.
Yeah.
Because what social media also provides you with is the glamorous side of life, and people think that's easy to achieve. You know, you don't achieve huge goals without putting huge effort in. So when people see this opportunity of Bitcoin and they say, right, I'm going to lump some money into there and I'll be sailing on a yacht next week, that doesn't happen. But you're right, people do want to be a bit more entrepreneurial, but quite often I don't think they're willing to put the work into it. And we've got nothing against Bitcoin, by the way.
What does success mean to you?
Success is being able to live life on your terms.